That's good for developers because it costs less money to make an app. But it means that you might not be getting the good quality app. You can download any garbage off of Android and run it. There's great apps, but there's also apps that are not good. Plus the fact that you can get a computer virus on your Android device because it's an open source. Anyone can submit an app and hide a virus in there, and it can infect your phone. So, plus the fact that you have to account for all the different sizes. Like with iPhone or iPad, you have like 4 sizes. You have like iPad, iPad mini, and then whatever size phones you have. With Android, you have a very large amount of sizes to account for. So it takes a longer time to kind of account for that stuff. Then there's Unity. Unity is a code that goes across platforms. You ever play a game that says powered by Unity? In the beginning, like Temple Run does that. You notice on Temple Run, you put it up, it says powered by Unity. Unity is a code that works on Apple and Android. So it's cheaper to build for both. And then Windows Mobile, I joke saying no one has them. But just so happens that Windows just said that they're going to use the same code between their phones, their tablets, their computers, and the Xbox One. So if you learn to code Windows, you can code a game for any one of those things, and it'll work on any one of them, which is pretty cool and exciting for people. So I want to get into the console game coding, you know? All right. If you ever want to learn how to code, and I'll send you guys this PowerPoint if you want. I can send it to your teacher, and you can see it. There's a website called lynda.com, Lynda, and it's got all sorts of tutorials on how to, it'll teach you. Yeah. Code Academy, Khan Academy, or is it Code Academy? Code Academy. Code Academy might be the same thing also, but Lynda has from the beginning to the end, broken down tutorials that will teach you how to code. But that's not what we're going to learn here. We're going to learn how to do this without coding. Because coding is boring and hard to learn. Yes? All right. So it's important to realize that every cool app you guys use, Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, those are created by people that are not that much older than you are. You guys say 17? 16, 17? All right. So Mark Zuckerberg was in college when he created Facebook, $30 billion company. Pretty nice. You know, Snapchat, created at Stanford, again, college also, so 18, 19 years old, you know. The guy who created Flappy Birds was 19, from a really small village in Vietnam, right? And so he makes $50,000 a day on that app, which is absurd. It's a lot of money, right? So remember that you guys can do this. This is not hard for you to do. All you have to do is think about what your favorite app is and how do you make it better. So who can tell me Snapchat? What do you love about Snapchat? What's good about Snapchat? Anyone? What do you hate about Snapchat? What would you like to have on Snapchat? Okay, all right, good. Is that the one with that friend that took away Snapchat?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I heard that throughout the whole day. It took away best friend, which is annoying. You guys like best friends. So, those are both good, very good ideas. You can take that idea, create your own app, and now that's yours. You could sell that for a ton of money. You can tweak Snapchat a little bit, you know, maybe add better filters, maybe like Instagram has, or maybe add another function like, you know, longer videos or whatever you want to do, and make it your own and sell it for a lot of money. So start thinking about when you're using your apps every day, you use them all the time, what do you hate about them? What do you love about them? What would you like to see out there? And it's very easy to create. So, all right. So I created my app last year. It's called Notability. It's made for schools. So a little background on it. I'm a special ed teacher. And as a special ed teacher, we have, every one of my students has what's called an IEP, or Individualized Education Plan, which is goals, right? So every year, we come up with goals for kids. And on that document, it says, you must take data on this goal, let's say once a week, right? And so that's legal. I have to do that. And if a parent came to me and said, Mr. Radicone, I want to see how my daughter's doing, show me the data, I have to have a data point per week on that goal. Now I'm in trouble. So I created an app that allows me to import all my goals into the app. And it reads that thing that says how many times you take data, and it sends me a notification to take data that day. And it takes me to a data center where I can input data, and then I can make a report out of it. So it does all the stuff I would be doing in a little notebook, but on my iPad. So That took about 6 months to figure out how to do. All right, so last year, at the end of last year, I decided I was going to make this app. So what I started doing is called wireframing. And this is very important. A wireframe is a picture or description of what your app's going to be like. And when you take your description to any developer, you want to be as specific as possible. So you want to have a picture of your home screen, right? And then put on buttons there. Start drawing arrows. If I touch this button, that happens. If I touch this button, that happens. Here's what I want the app to do. Here are the functions I want. Here's how I want them to happen. You start kind of mapping that out. So when you do go to a developer and you do say, here's my idea, they know what you're talking about. Because, as you'll see in a little while, it's hard to talk to developers. They don't really speak our language, normal people language. They speak math language. So I'm not a math person. I don't know how to code. I don't know how to speak to them. What you want to have is a really nice kind of description. These two websites here are free wireframing websites. So if you have an app idea in mind, you go on there, and it's got like mock-up iPads, mock-up iPhones, and you can put buttons on places and add descriptions and make it so that when you decide to hand it to the developer, they know what you're talking about. Here's kind of what you want to think about when you're wireframing, right? What does my home screen look like? When I touch this button, what happens? What happens from that next screen? And that screen, and keep working down like a hierarchy, right? I know this is all kind of boring, some of that, but in the end, you will come up with a really cool idea. Question?
I know like inventions and whatnot and patents. Do you need a patent for your app?
That is an awesome question. I was going to touch on that, but I'm not touch on it now. So it's a copyright. When you code something, any literary thing you write, code, book, song is a copyright. But people think that copywriting is like a thing you send to the government, right? You file for a copyright, they give you a date, and then you get a certificate. Really, copyright's a law. So which states that as soon as you put something out, as soon as you complete it and publish it, you have the copyright on it. So as soon as I finished my app, my code, and put it on the App Store, I got an immediate copyright on it. I didn't file it with the government, but on the App Store it says this app was created on such and such a date, and so that entitles me to a copyright. So if anyone were to take my code or do something like my app, I could then say, let me see your code, and I can say, if it looks like mine, then I can sue them for it. All right? Yeah.
Could your app like be a writing
It could be. Now, before I went and did this, I did a lot of research on the different app stores to see if there's anything like it out there, and there wasn't. But there are things that did some of what mine did, but not all of it. So that's really important because, like I said, you can take any one of your favorite apps and make it a little bit different and make it your own. As long as it's slightly different, that's the same thing with invention, same thing with any sort of product. If you can make something better, then it's yours, right? So even if you take, and you'll see in a little while, but even if you take code from somebody else, you have to tweak it a little bit, and then you can rename it, and now you have it. So that's why, remember when Flappy Birds was on the App Store and got taken down? There was a bunch of Flappy Bird clones out there, right? Those people made a ton of money on that because they used the code, they made it a little bit different, and now they made it their own. So you can very easily do that, right? This is kind of what my wireframe looked like when I started making it. But it's very simple, and then my description's a lot longer than this, but this is kind of what you want to think about. All right. It's important to realize that all your favorite apps are takeoffs and other apps, right? So you look at Facebook as the kind of prototype app that everyone used. Facebook was really a takeoff on MySpace. MySpace was the first social network, or Friendster before that. So those Friendster, which no one ever used, right? No one knows what it is. Then MySpace. And then Facebook was like a takeoff on that. So then from Facebook, you have Twitter. Twitter was invented because people liked the status update of Facebook, but they wanted to do short bursts of it. So you have Twitter. Then you have Snapchat, which was people liked the photo sharing on Facebook, but they didn't want their photos on other people's phones for that long. So they invented Snapchat. Then there was Instagram. People said I like the photo sharing on Facebook, but I want better filters. So they invented Instagram. These are all takeoffs on the one idea, all of them multi-billion-dollar companies, right? All of them very doable by anyone your age. Super easy to do. And here's how you do it. All right, sorry. Then you have these novel apps. So you can take off an app on somebody else's app, or you can make your own. Crazy new idea that no one's ever done before. Angry Birds, real easy, right? Very simple. The reason why it's so popular is because it's a simple concept. You're using physics to send a bird towards a building, right? It seems easy, but it was new. Temple Run, same thing. There's like a ton of Temple Run clones out there now that like everyone's running through jungles and stuff. But that was the first one. No one ever did that before. This app here, Sumly, which no one's probably ever heard of really, is an app that a kid created 15 years old. It was called a news aggregator. What it did was, it went on the internet, scoured the internet for all the news, and then put it on your phone in a really nice, pretty way. That's all it did. It just took news and put it there, and it was bought by Yahoo for $30 million from a kid who was 15 years old. So think about that. Next time you're at your job, you could be coding a $30 million app for Yahoo. And then my app is Notability. Notability, do you guys have iPads? No, you don't use iPads, right? The whole school uses Notability if you have an iPad. And all it is like a note-taking program. But it's like having a notebook on your iPad. No one had really done it before that way. So it was a completely novel idea that makes a ton of money. Okay. This is important. How are you going to pay for your app? Because they're expensive. I will tell you that a good app costs anywhere between $1,000 and $3,000 or even $5,000 for one platform. So if you're going to do it on iOS, it'd be like $3,000. To make that same app on Android, it'd be about $2,000. So you're looking at $5,000 of money to build on both platforms. So these are the best ways to do it. Kickstarter, Indiegogo, GoFundMe. These are crowdfunding services. Does anyone know what that means? Crowdfunding, right? Okay. So basically what you do is you present your idea on these websites, and people will give you money for it. It's that simple. Like, if people find value in it, they'll donate to you. I actually crowdfunded my whole app through GoFundMe. $2,000 for now, $1,800. Just by putting it up there, people gave me money for it, people I didn't know. Yeah.
Like when you said it took 6 months, was that majority of it trying to get funds for it, or was that actually coding?
No, it was 6 months of development. So I tried to get funds before that. So I took about 2 months to get the funds for it. And then 6 months of developing. And that, I'll tell you about the process in a second, but it takes a long time. But so what you do is with Kickstarter, Indiegogo, and GoFundMe, you'll say like, all right, I want $3,000. This is my goal here, right? And then people will go ahead and they'll donate to you. And you can say either you donate for nothing, or you can donate and give them a free copy of the app when it's done, or give them a $10 gift card when they're done. But you can offer stuff to people. Mine, I just said I would like $3,000, and whoever donated to me donated to me. I didn't have to give any money back. I'll probably give them a copy of the app when it's completely done, but I didn't do it like that. All right. So here's how you're going to build your app without knowing any sort of coding at all, right? You're going to take your wireframe, take your ideas, and you're going to go to one of these two sites, guru.com or elance.com. And these are what's called freelancer websites, right? And there are people around the world, India, Europe, the US, that are really good computer coders, and they're looking for projects. And so you submit your project to these sites. And what'll happen is they'll start bidding on it. And they'll say like, here's what I would charge to do this, here's how I would do it, here's my way around your issues. And people just give you bids. And then you find, who you like, and you go with them. So you have to be careful though, because people will promise you a lot of stuff for a little bit of money, and that happened to me when I first started. Someone promised me for $1,800 they would build me an Apple and an Android app at the same time. And so I said yes, and I went with it, and guess what they did? They built me a really bad version of one app and not a version of the other app. But you can protect yourself because you can upload these things. You can upload your money to a escrow account, right? And what escrow means is your money stays in a space until you approve of their work, and then you send them money. So I didn't send them any money. They sent me a really crappy version of my app. I took my money back, took what they wrote for me, and I went somewhere else. But it's important to realize too, when you get on, if you decide to do this, you want the people to, one, sign what's called a non-disclosure agreement, which means like, I'm gonna hire you to build my app, but you can't talk about it. They'll sign, because if you know, you could hire somebody and they could be like telling their friends about your app and then their friend goes steal it. So you haven't signed that. And you haven't signed what's called a work for hire clause, which means like, I'm hiring you for my company. You work for me, but when you're done, you don't work for me anymore and you own none of this app. And that's something that you'd be worried about, because I know plenty of people that have gone and had apps built, and then when they go to sell them, they don't really own them. The people that built them own them. So you don't want that to happen to you. So like I said, I wound up having to leave my developer and going with another developer from America. I hired someone from India, and not that they were bad at developing, but it's hard to talk to people. You know, the language barrier is very hard. So I would talk to the guy who I hired with my project manager, and then he would talk to his coder who didn't speak any English whatsoever. So every time I tried to explain to them what I wanted to happen, the guy would go and talk to his coder, and they would completely lose what I was trying to say. So hire someone that you think you can talk to. All right. There's another way to build your app without coding anything, right? You can go and you can license the code, okay? And what you do is you go on these websites, Mobile or Code Canyon, and there are people that have pre-built apps already and have sold or licensed their app to those websites. So you can say, let's say you want to build like a new Snapchat or a new Instagram. You go on and say, I want to build a photo sharing service. And they can say, well, I have these photo sharing services that are already available to use. You can take them and you can hire someone to add to those apps, right? That's a cheaper way to do it. But the only problem is you don't own the app in the end because you borrowed license from somebody else. So you want to make sure that, you know, that you're, if you want to sell the app for a lot of money, you want to make sure you own the whole thing, okay? All right. This is the most important part. How do you make money off of your app, right? Because you're not building it for fun. You want to build it to make money off of it, right? So what do you do? So you look at Angry Birds or Clash of Clans, right? Those are free. So how do they make any money off of that? Does anyone know how they make money? What's that? You put ads on, right? What else? Anyone? Ads. They do ads, they do microtransactions.
Oh, microtransactions.
Yeah, microtransactions. So like Clash of Clans is free, but you can buy skins, you can buy stuff to, you know, to aid in your game. So you can make it free, and you can do that. You want to do that with an app that everyone's going to download. Everyone's going to download Clash of Clans, no matter what you're doing, because it's a fun game. So you can make it free, and you can have ads and stuff like that. Otherwise, you can raise the price. My app is meant for teachers, special ed teachers. So my app is $20, $19.99. It's meant to be just for schools. So I sell mine directly to schools instead of going. It's not on the actual web. It's not on the actual app store. It's on. It goes to schools directly, so they can search it in their school network. Right now, I'm hoping to get it up on the full network, so it's in review right now. But I made about $10,000 on it. It's been up for about a week. So I spent $3,000. It's been up for about a week. I made about $10,000. So hopefully it will keep going that route. You know, that's just 2 districts buying it. There are, you know, I don't know, a couple hundred districts in the area around here, and then a lot more in the whole U.S. So I'm hoping that districts will buy it for their schools. It's been shown that people will buy a $1.99 or 99-cent app, no problem. It's easy. It's an easy impulse buy. So if you're going to do something like Snapchat, you can make it free. You can make it 99 cents, and people will buy it because it's just an impulse buy. I buy stuff all the time I never use. I'm sure you guys do all stuff. Like boom, 99 cents. Who cares? But you realize that iTunes takes 30% of every sale you make. So that's a lot. Plus you have to pay to be on their app store. And Google Play takes 20%. So it's a lot of money. So you want to, you know, price your app accordingly. Does anyone have any questions so far? Anything? No? All right. Last thing you can do to make money on your app is to license your code. So once you've bought and owned your code, you can then sell it to people and say, okay, you can use my code to make your own app, but you're going to pay me money. So what I'm doing now, for my app is, in this district, there's a thing called IEP Direct, which is like a web-based service, like eBackpack, they're all web-based services. I'm licensing my app to them to use for their stuff. So they're gonna pay me 5% of whatever our district pays to use my app, which is a lot of money, you know? So that's just this one district. Every time IEP Direct goes to another district, they pay me per district they use. So all they did was take my app, take the code, put their name on it, and then add their login code to it, and now it's like another revenue stream. So that's how you can do it. That's really it on my spiel on how to make an app, right? So what I'd like to hear is if anyone has any good ideas on apps. What do you guys use the most?